Yes, Nomsa here at Ngosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I have Amanda Marie and Grant Morel. How are you guys?
Good.
Hello,
Good from Canada.
hello, everybody. Hello from London. Good to see you. London in England. Good to see you.
Awesome, awesome. Canada and London. Is it snowing where you are, Amanda, or the weather is nice?
No, it shouldn't snow anymore until the fall.
Okay, awesome.
It may
Grant,
as well
how is the weather where you are?
disappointing for summer. I know this is
I
England.
know.
We treasure our summer because like we don't always get a great deal of good weather. But this is flaming June. It's meant to be flaming hot, and I've got a sweater on. I mean, what's going on? So I want my money back. I want my money. I want my weather money back. I want a refund.
Okay, well, we'll send the refund, Grant. We'll send the message in heaven, and then you get your refund for your
Thank
weather.
you. Checks in the post. Thank you.
So our topic today is the benefits of failing forward. And failing forward is a concept that emphasizes the importance of viewing failure as a learning opportunity and stepping stone to future success. So today we're going to share the key points, benefits of adopting a failing forward mindset. And Amanda, I know you chose this topic. Would you like to explain to our audience before we start talking why uh, you chose the topic?
Yeah, so I chose this topic because it's one that we talk a lot about in education, and I'm a teacher, but also I was in this mentorship program with a bunch of women from this group called Lola's Collective, and they were talking about failing forward as well. And I was like, this is so interesting that we talk about this in education, but people outside of education are actually starting to really talk about this too. And then I learned about this event that happens in Calgary as well, and it's called Fuck Up Nights. And really, it's all of these entrepreneurs that come and they talk about their screw ups and how it made them move forward and how it empowered them to like persevere and keep going. And so, and how those they actually like built resilience around it, and how like it's like this big fun night. And I'm really excited. I'm planning to go to it in July when they come to Calgary again, and they have these nights all over the world, so you'll have to look them up. But I'm kind of excited to go, and it's where like you make light of your mistakes, but also you're like, this is the biggest learning opportunity for me. And I know when we're like in education or in school, sometimes we look at our failures as like something that's really bad, right? Like I got something wrong on my test. That's a bad thing. Whereas I try to teach my kids, like, that's not a bad thing. That's actually like a good thing. And this is okay because this is like, okay, this is the spot where we need to learn a little bit more, or this is
Yeah.
an area that we have for growth, but we can continue to move forward. And so I thought that this was a really great topic. And I have some questions around that as well for you guys, but I'll let Grant go, or you go, Nomza, on what you guys think of the topic so far,
Well,
and the night that I found out about that happens all over the world in
well,
different.
I know one thing that I love the title of that night, and I think I need to write to the show's people because I'm sure I can be a great contributor to that one. I'm sure I've many F ups in my business, and I think some people do. If people were more honest about business, and I was actually going to write a book about this is how not to be successful. You know, by a collection of all the things that have gone wrong in the past, and just to do it's really strange. Last night I was on a session, on a client session. We was talking about polar opposites, language patterns, etc. And we was talking about bad to good, duality to singularity, and things like this. And I think really, if you people always talk about success, but if you talk about what is not success, because somebody people's mind gets caught in the negative. If you talk about what isn't success, you can get a great big long list of what isn't, and then you just reverse it. And this could be some tips of where to go. Nom, so what do you think about the title of that show that Amanda found? And I certainly want to be watching that.
I'm actually interested with Amanda's group now that she's mentioned this group that helps people talk about their failures and stuff, how it helped them to build their success. Sounds like a good group where I belong. Do they have some branches in the UK, Amanda? You're muted, Amanda. Do they have branches in UK?
Well, I'm going to be
Huh?
looking for one anyway. I'm going to be looking for one.
Yeah, so they have them when I was looking it up, they have events like all over the world. And I know there's like one that's specific to Calgary, and then they have them all over the world. I didn't look at every city that they were in, but they are in a lot of different.
What's the name of the group?
It's called Fuck Up Nights.
Guess what I'm Googling now?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I think that, some of the people at the collective, Lola's Collective, that I was working with and collaborating with, they had been to it before, and they were like, it's so fun and you like laugh so much, and there's speakers, and then it's just like a mingling event and a making connections event, which I thought was really, really amazing. So yeah, I thought that was so good because we're like embracing and not being afraid to be like, yeah, I messed up here, but this is how it helped me grow, right? And so this is how I can empower others to not be so self-conscious and get stuck in something that is kind of a like, oops, right? And then when we were talking at the event on Monday, they were talking a little bit about, one of the people who was talking about how she had this big setback, and she gives herself 24 hours to, when she's had a like big setback, to just like cry and like throw a temper tantrum and like do whatever it is that she needs to do. But then after that 24 hours, it's like, okay, no more. I can't
No
have a
more.
party. I'm going to like move forward from there. And so I liked that, like, give yourself 24 hours as well. I liked what she said about that, on how to just take a step away for 24 hours and like just let yourself feel all the feels and then move forward. So yeah, I thought that was a really great way to approach things too, especially setbacks, because she had had a really big setback that wasn't her fault. That was like, well, what am I going to do now? Now that this huge contract got canceled because of COVID, what am I going to do? Right. And so I thought that was a really amazing way to be like, okay, when you have some big catastrophe in your business, what is it that you can do? Like, take a step away for 24 hours and just feel all the feels, and then make an action plan after that, which I thought was really fantastic advice as well.
I like it.
I found it. I found it, the website. I put it in the group.
Yeah. Yeah. Got that. Yep. So that, and apparently you can run nights for it. You can register to run it, which I think is, I think, can you imagine the organisation of even maybe the organisation would be a fuck up. It would be wrong if it wasn't, wouldn't it? Yeah. But no, that's I love that. It's to turn the whole concept on its head. I think that's a really nice thing for really great entrepreneurs to go down and just say, hey, look, we aren't so smart. We got it wrong. And I love it. I think that is really, really good. So when are we doing it?
Right. Well, we could even do a little bit of a practice right now, is to like, what is something that other people might view as a fuck up, but you actually like really grew and failed forward in
Yeah.
this. And so I know for myself, I think about like things that have happened to me in my life and how it's like really helped me grow. And I can tell you a little bit of my story, or I'd like love to hear one of your guys' stories about something that other people would have viewed as a really big setback, but actually how it helped you grow into a better person, a better business person, whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example right now. It's not ego that's holding me back. I promise you, if I can think of one, which I'm sure I will, I'll happily share it. But in my coaching practice, we encourage people to take actions of things. I know it sounds very basic, but we do. And there's a lot of fear around things. There's a certain thing that I take people through with accountability, and they avoid it. And I know they do because it exposes them, And you can't hide. You can't hide behind it. And they kind of come up with ingenious devices, such as like my PA's off, they can't do it. I'm going to get my PA deal with this. I'm like, yeah, I get that. I said, but like, if your PA goes home early or forgets to do it, I'm still coming to you for the answers because you're managing them. So you're not going to wiggle out of it. Yeah, we need to get this done. As long as you know you can outsource it, but you're still in charge of it and managing it. You're responsible for making it happen. And I've got somebody who tried this, and I predicted they're going to do it. So the point is, I said, if you want to, not do this stuff and not take any actions and pay me to sit there on Facebook all day when I should be coaching, that's fine. It doesn't make no difference to me. But I rather figured you might want to get some value for money out of me. And like, because I'll just sit on Facebook. If you don't do your stuff, you paid me already. I'll take the money and I'll just sit on Facebook, and then you'll start listening and paying attention. Yeah, I said so, and they go, oh, I said so. I'm kind of teasing you, pressing your buttons a bit, but just do the stuff. So, i.e., once you do the actions, even imperfect actions, I've got something to measure. So if you say, hey, how can I improve? I don't know. You haven't done anything. I really don't know. It's a piece of imagination. Go and do something and I'll analyze it. So shall we agree you go and do this and go and screw it up as much as you want? But then we come back and we can analyze, because here's the thing. Quite often people don't screw things up half as much as they imagine. Right? And they go and do it and say, well, actually, that was quite good. That was all right. And that bit was a bit crap. So, let's look at that crap bit and see how we can make it a bit better. The good thing, why don't we spend more time doing that? Because you're clearly quite good at that and this sort of thing. When we was teaching people dating coaching years ago, we'd do that. And the guys who, I can't get a date, guys, I can't get a date, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, I don't want you to get dates. I want you to get 50 rejections. I want you to get used to rejection, first of all. Just get really numb to rejection. Go out and get 50 rejections. But you must go and get 50 rejections. Go out and spend an hour, And they'd come back and say, well, they failed. So what? We didn't get 50. I got 47 rejections and 3 dates. I'm like, yeah, there you go. So that was the object of the exercise. So you told me you couldn't get a date. You proved yourself wrong. You can, and that's it. So that's the way you do it, because no one is that bad. No one's that bad. Yeah, we can be pretty bad at certain things. There's certain things I'm really great at, certain things I'm really not great at. And but even those, if you just do it for a while, you kind of get the hang of it. It may not be your natural flow. But the thing is to do something, to take some action, because from that you can learn. Whatever you do, you can measure. Whatever you measure, you can manage. Whatever you manage, you can grow. And that's the 4 key steps. But yeah, you've got to be willing to fuck it up first. That's the trick of it. And just have fun. So when I was teaching sales to people a lot of the time, so many different ways of teaching sales, obviously, but one was to stop making it so serious, to avoid that fear of the Monday morning, oh my God, the Monday morning sales meeting. Cool. And I can promise you, I've been at some of those which are horrendous, from all being told we're all a bunch of, well, I can't even say this word in front of that, we're all a bunch of that. And like, oh my God, there's a, or to others who are so uplifted. Let's be honest, for a company who to generate sales leads costs them a lot of money. So they do get a bit tetchy if those leads are burned by bad sales techniques. But they've got to suspend disbelief, because I used to say to people, here's the methods, let's teach it, let's role play it, let's go out there, knock it up as much as you want. I used to literally say that. And it would lighten up the mood. It would make people lighter. And if people are lighter when they do things and more cheerful, with less pressure, they tend to get better results anyway. They do. Even if they make a mistake, they're doing it with such exuberance and confidence that people don't often realize the mistakes and they just carry on through it. And when you screw it up, people are eager to come back to the office to share the screw ups. Well, what are you really doing? You're debriefing. And what do you do when you debrief? You learn what went wrong, what went right, how you can do it better. So by default, by having fun with it, by humorizing the whole thing, you learn faster, you correct quicker, and you get results in record time. That's why it's important to fuck things up. Nomsa, do you ever do this? Do you ever do it? Have you ever done it? Any examples of yours? What are you thinking? You're sitting there contemplating.
What have I done? I think I did it with my website where um the web designer built the website about because we're part of each other, part of family, and I just trusted Des to look after it, but then he never changed the password. I just kept the password, and when he fell out with Des, he just went and put my website down and changed the password and everything. So woke up one day, there's no website. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? So that's my lesson learned. And the clients like getting up in the morning, they're like, Nomsa, I'm trying to get to your website. Do you know your website is not there? I'm like, no, the website is there. Like, no, it's not there anymore. It's like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Then I was
man,
like, oh, what's happened?
man,
But
that's
then when things go wrong, you pick yourself up. It's how you learn because if you are a business person, you have to learn when you follow, you pick yourself up. So that's how we learn. Amanda, what about you, Amanda?
Well, I'm an elementary school teacher, so we have mess ups all the time. And I can even think of one this year where I was like, okay, I was doing this project for the whole school where we were like basically creating an ocean of our school in the gym for the spring concert. And essentially in my classroom we were supposed to like we were pirates because there was like it was a pirate themed play, and I got the kids to like do these pirates and pirate ships with their faces on them, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. But then some of them made them like this big, and I like just kind of let them like go off and be creative, but their projects were like this big and like this big, and I was like, no, this is not what I wanted at all. I'm like, they need to be big so people like can see them across the gym, and like we need to be big scary pirates. And I was like, no, this is not good. So anyways, I like told the kids, I said, so Miss Cattrall did a mess up, and I thought that I could just like let you go off and explore on this and do what was the vision in my head. And I said, these are still really good, but it's not what I was looking for. And in my head for this big project that's like being displayed, and we're having like the whole school come into our gym and all the parents and everything. And so I said, we're going to try this again. And I said, we're going to. So then I like made everybody's faces because I took pictures of them all like the exact same size so that they were quite big. And then we did more of a like step-by-step drawing of being pirates. And then I gave them the creative like exploration a little bit after, once we had like this constructs of how big the body should be and everything. And then they turned out absolutely amazing. And so I was like, yay. But it was okay for me to be like, I messed up. Like I should have given more clear instructions. I should have done this a little bit more step by step, but I didn't, because I thought that you guys understood what I wanted, and you didn't, and that's okay. These first ones turned out great, but they're this big. So we're gonna try again. And they just turned out absolutely amazing. And being able to say like, it's okay to try something again. It's okay to be like, that's not the way I wanted it to turn out. We're gonna try this over again. And at first they were really mad at me. They're like, oh, but then they were like, when they saw the final product, they were like, okay, this is better. This turned out the way. And ours was like front and displayed right over top of the stage, and they looked fantastic. And I had so many compliments on them. But if we had left it the original way, we would have had these teeny tiny things that nobody would have been able to see. So in the end, it turned out really great. But I also had to like convince my teaching partner, because we teach in one big classroom with 46 kids, be like, can we redo these? I promise they're going to be better. But I can't put these up on the walls in the gym. I can't. I'm like, my OCD is like through the roof, and I just I cannot start up in the hall in to display in front of the entire school, because I let the kids glue the like originally. I was like, oh yeah, just go glue it on the water seat, and they like put them all at the very bottom of the big piece of paper in this tiny little row. And I was like, no, it should be all spaced out and like even. Yeah, we still kept the other one and we displayed it in our classroom, but we didn't display it in the gym. So that's just like one example of even like modeling to kids that it's okay to mess something up and then we can just try it over again and then we learn from our mistakes. And I said, like, I learned from this where I have to do a little bit more step-by-step modeling of this. And it's okay in lots of different areas to be like, we're going to try this over again. And every time I've done that in the classroom and said, like, this isn't what I wanted, we're going to try this over again, I'm going to do some more like teaching on this because we're not getting it, right? We're not getting it, so we're going to try again. And they've always like blown me away with my expectations when I've said I've messed up and we're going to move on and try a different avenue, but to get to the same end goal that I was hoping for, because we didn't get to the end goal I was hoping for.
Is that because of support, Amanda? You think because of where you've gone that you've shown a vulnerability, and therefore people can identify with that. They feel them safe. Even if the children, even the adults are like, oh yeah, I've messed up too. And it's, I don't want to be in that position as them. And I want to help them. People more, you fall over in the street, people are more willing to help you up, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think showing vulnerability is a strength for sure. And I know that anytime I've shown vulnerability in my life, that it's actually like uplifted me in a different area, or people have said, well, like that's happened to me too. And especially when you feel like you're all alone and stuck in that situation, when you actually are vulnerable and speak about it a little bit, then you realize you're not the only one, when you might have thought in your head and in your own little world that you're the only one struggling with that issue.
Yeah, you have to be vulnerable because we all get to where we need to be because of our failures. And when you fail in something, when things go wrong, that's where you learn the skills, and that's where the best in you comes out. And when my website disappeared, I was like, spend loads of money on this website, and then I'm like going to sleep, and then I'm getting up the following day. I'm like, it is reality. This is what it is. And I was like, even if I had changed the password, and then my friend, to make me feel better, and then he was like, no, sir, even if you had changed the password, I don't need the password to go to your website. I'm a web designer. So my friend just went, okay, look, this is how I can get into the website. So even if you had changed the password, I can access it. We can still access it. He can still access it. So there's no point in like saying if I had done this, the things would have been different. If he wanted to do it, he would have done it anyway. So that's when you realize actually nothing lasts forever. And at the same time, you just have to pick, you have the final say of how far you can go with life. So yeah, I like this topic because it's just amazing how we all have a story. Everyone has a story, Grant.
Yeah. Absolutely. And they do. The more you speak to people and the more open you can be with people about things that have gone wrong, the most important thing. And I think this is the whole idea of failing forward, because you can only measure what you do. So it's important to make some progress and to do it. People are afraid. It's ego, isn't it? It's ego, right? People want to look perfect. I don't want to show it to the team yet because it's not finished. Yeah, we know that. What's the point in going all the way down there to find out you've misunderstood the instructions and you've been like 3 weeks on a project? Like, no, we didn't want that. We wanted this. So let's have a look at it on stage one and to see where it is, to see if we can course correct. But and even if it's wrong, it's not very far wrong, and that's the whole importance of it. It highlights success and it also highlights failure very, very quickly, which is great because it's not a big deal. You haven't spent too much time, money, or effort. Oh no, sorry, you misunderstood. What we want was this. So it's very important to do it and just to take some early action and just get something there. I do a lot of practice groups of people with various things, certain behavior and stuff like this, modification, and looking at it. And the trick of it is there's so many people try to learn it intellectually and they still end up rubbish at it because they haven't practiced it. You've got to put it into practice. And we say, let's just go. And I said, do you want to do the exercise? And I'm like, yeah. I don't know. I'm just going to shoot straight from the hip. Boom. And I'm like, you pick a lot of holes in this, but I'm just going to throw some paint on the canvas, as it were, and let's see what we can do. And they're like, yeah, and, you can pull out some decent bits. Or say, could someone improve on that? Or yeah, take that section out, put this in, or instead of this, put a pause there. And that way it becomes like a creative exercise for everybody. But it's fading forward. It's so important to do that. And when you take, I think the important part of fading forward, again, is set the context. It's about creating that. It's not an expression I like, but that safe space thing. There's certain reasons I don't like that expression, because if children were traumatized, they may have run to hide in a safe space. So when you say, where's your safe space? You can bring back unpleasant memories. If that safe space was hiding under the kitchen table while mum and dad were throwing bottles at each other, right? You don't want them in the mind going back there. That's why I don't like that term. But generally speaking, you know what I mean. So if you can create that supportive environment, let's call it a supportive environment to fail forward, where you're not going to be ridiculed, you're not going to be blamed. But of course, it's like everything. If you take small steps, micro steps, and fail forward, you can't really go too far wrong, right? You can't go too far wrong. In the world of financial trading, I coach someone who's pretty prominent in the world of financial trading and teaching it. And we were talking about this very question, I think my question was, how do you deal with failure? Yeah, that's very good for a success coach, isn't it? To start talking about failure. But let's talk about that, because we'll all get degrees of failure somewhere, and that's not a dirty word. This is my point. So how do you deal with that? And the answer was, put measures in place, padlocks, if you will, whereby if your financial trading goes wrong, it only goes a little bit wrong. So if anybody out there is a trader, what I'm talking about is a thing called a stop loss, which means if your money goes up, fine. But if it starts going wrong, you don't want it to plummet and keep going on. You can say, here's my money I came in here. There's my profit. If it goes below the profit line, you'll put a stop loss maybe here, so that once you get to this line, boom, it will kick you out the trade. You will not lose that much money. The foolish thing is that people forget to put them on. Right? I'm not a financial trader. I'm not teaching that at all. But I know people forget to put them on. That's how they lose a fortune. Right? That's one of the. If you put that in, yes, you'll lose something, but not too much. That's the general idea. And he said, that's what I do in life, in all aspects of my life. Okay. So you think of a submarine what happens to the submarine floods? It's got compartments, hasn't it? So if the front of it gets flooded, they turn the door, they close the door, so only that part gets flooded. The water doesn't fill up the whole ship. Okay. That's a way of limiting the damage. So that way you can stop it and you can analyze what went wrong. That way you can correct it and fail forward. I don't think they flood submarines on purpose so they can learn, but you get what I mean. All right. So think about ways that you can do that in your life, how you can do this, how you can mitigate the risk. There you go, as a risk. Mitigate the risk, but you've got to do something, right? You've got to learn. You had to get on a bicycle at some point in your life and try to go forward. First of all, you maybe had your two wheels and you had those training wheels, those stabilizers, right? You had them. So even then you wiggled from side to side, but you got the hang of balance and you learned to be a little bit more fluid. And then like it was easy with those training wheels, and then the parents maybe bent those wheels up a little bit, right? So you wobbled a little bit more, and then a bit more, and then sometimes they left the stabilizers on, even though they were bent right up, just for psychological support. And then one day they just took them off, and it made hardly any difference. A little bit, you wobbled a little bit more, because psychologically you're telling yourself, I haven't got those stabilizers, I haven't got those training wheels. But before too long, human beings, what do? We adapt. Before too long, there was no big deal. In fact, I don't think I learnt with stabilizers at all. I think my father just held my shoulders for a little bit. I think I did it very, very quickly, but it doesn't matter if you do it fast or slow. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, do it. Get on. Will you fall off and graze your knees? Maybe. Will there be some tears? Possibly. Is it the end of the world? No. Be like a child, because when I was watching my nephew and he was little, he was on a climbing frame and he fell over and he bashed his knee and he was crying and he was really crying. And his mum had to cuddle him. 5 minutes later, he runs straight back and gets back on it, and the tears are gone and he's forgotten all about it. If we're a little bit more like that in life, do you think he learned to safely climb the climbing frame? Yeah, he literally fell forward. He literally fell forward, luckily, not from a great height. That's the trick. Little steps at a time. Don't go right to the top of the mountain and then fall all the way down. Just to a little bit, get comfortable there and go. Because as we say, right, every time you grow, there's a challenge. Yeah, but you're only going to fall that far. You're only going to fall to the level below, and that's not too bad. So foul forward. What about you, Amanda Adomsa? What are you? Any examples of where you fouled forward, or any of the clients, or any people you teach have fouled forward?
Well, I love that analogy of the bicycle, because that's exactly it. And if you never actually got up and you tried, you never eventually get to the point where you can ride, right? And so it's the same. I know one of the things that I think about when I think about failing forward is like relationships. And when we are in a relationship with somebody and then it doesn't work out, we can just continue to do those same patterns, or we can learn and grow and move forward once we've begun to like explore why it is that that relationship fell apart. And I know when I got divorced, I was really, really embarrassed, and I felt like, oh, I failed at marriage, right? I failed at this relationship. I failed at my ability to like navigate people, right? Like to kind of weed out people that aren't good for me. And I thought I had done a good job of that. I'm like, I'm smart. I'm really good at all of these things. And I'm like working on my master's degree. And yet my marriage is like a complete dumpster fire. Right. And so then I was like, that was a big failure. Like I was really embarrassed about that for a long time. And then I realized that I was able to fail forward from that, where then I was able to like help other people navigate their divorces and help other people learn about personality disorders and help other people learn about, and then I was able to also write a children's book on it's called Divorce is a D Word, sometimes two homes are better than one. And that's because there's some cases where I'm 100% like, do all the work you absolutely can to make your marriage work. But then there's some marriages that just are not healthy at all. No matter what, no matter which way you look at them, they're not healthy and they cannot be saved. And you are in one of those like I was in, because with people with a personality disorder, it's like a light switch. As soon as that light switch goes off, it's a completely, what you thought was your like dream life turns into this complete opposite thing. And that was like a big failure that I viewed in my life, because I was like, okay, I've like on this track of doing really well in all of these things. Like I got my teaching degree. I had 2 degrees at the time. I was working on my master's. I had a baby. Like all of the things that I really wanted to achieve were like coming to fruition, except in that area. And that was something that I view really as like failing forward in learning about myself and becoming a better version of myself, because the version of me that was in that marriage had no self-esteem, was like basically a shell of a person. I wasn't drawing, I wasn't painting, I wasn't being creative. I was literally like living in my own eternal hell. And now it's like I have all of these things. If I was still in that marriage, I wouldn't be able to speak on this talk show. I wouldn't be able to do all the things that I've done, where I have my own website and I write a blog and I do all of these things that really uplift me. But I had to find out who I was inside in order to do that. And this inner strength that you do have when something fails to help you move forward and help you grow. And I think that's something that we really need to look at in failing forward too, is each relationship that we've ever been in helps us learn and grow, whether it ended in a dumpster fire or if it ended very amicably. Like, no, we're both like wonderful people, but like we're just be together, right? And so, yeah, like your dumpster fire relationships you can learn and grow from, right? And then even relationships that end amicably, you can be like, no, this is for the best, and you're a wonderful person, and I wish you all the best in the entire world. And I've had relationships like that end like that, where I'm just like, we're not growing together, we're growing apart. And I want somebody that's going to grow with me, right? And grow in these areas that I want to grow in with me together, right? And so, but there are those dumpster fire relationships, those ones that are completely toxic. They're the ones that you learn the most from, I think, because you're like, it's so bad. I
So
don't
how
want
about
that
this
for
then?
anybody. I don't want that for anybody, but if you can get yourself out of those, that's where you like rebuild and you grow and you fail forward in how strong you are and how resilient you are and how your ability to persevere comes out, and how your body, mind, and spirit also is able to grow and just become so much more empowered and uplifted and become a better version of yourself. You're laughing at my dumpster fire. That was a dumpster fire.
I like that when we fall in love, Grant's analogy, and Amanda, when we fall in love, we get excited, but then later on, I think we both had the similar story, haven't we?
I think so. I think so. Shared reality in this one, yeah. But,
Yeah, I think we all have fucked up relationships before.
yeah, there's been a few of those. Yeah, there's been a few. What would you do? I wouldn't do that again. Yeah, it's a great learning experience, but it's costly. Yeah, I mean, mentally it's costly. Yeah. But it's funny. I mean, and I think that's very important. You got to have a sense of adventure in what you do in life. You
Yeah.
don't always know. We don't know the answers to everything. If we did, we'd all be worth a fortune on the stock market, wouldn't we? We'd all have the lottery winners if we knew the answers to everything. You mustn't be afraid to go forward and just do things and just do that. And I think if people are listening, you should make a list. And what are those things that? And sometimes I ask people this one question, like, what's really holding you back? What's really holding you back?
Well, it's fear. It's
Yeah.
fear.
Oh, yeah.
It is. It's like fear of change, right? And we've talked before about not being afraid of change, about embracing change and our ability to embrace change, right? And so that fear, whatever it is, that's holding you back. I know I was afraid to leave because I was like, how am I going to raise a kid on my own? I can't barely even take care of myself, even though I could take care of myself. I just in my head didn't think that I could. Right.
The
So
unknown as well, the fear of the unknown as well.
Fear of the unknown.
When we don't know what tomorrow is gonna look like, we are human beings that we want to know when we make decisions. We want to know how is tomorrow is gonna look like. But then if you find that you cannot know what tomorrow is gonna look like, you're like, I am doing that. For me, I think it is very, very important when I make decisions. I have this mindset that if I'm going to succeed, I'm going to succeed. But if I don't go for what I'm supposed to go for, I'm never going to know what my tomorrow would have looked like. And I'll live in regrets. And I just go for it. I just close my eyes and say, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. So yeah, so like Amanda says, Grant, imagine if our lives were so happy and we had this amazing life. Do you think we would have done what we're doing now? I think our lives would have completely different.
Yeah, it could well be. I mean, people are a product of their experience and their beliefs, right? That's what we all are. When we look at it, I believe this or you believe that, and their life's experiences. This is why you meet your school buddies, and they're like doing something different to you because they've had a different experience. There might be some similarities for sure, but and that's the way you go with it. So it's where does life take you? But it goes where you choose to take it. And a lot of people can make a decision. If you trace it back, you look at someone, the person who was always interested in this sort of thing, years later, quite often they're doing something that is related to that thing or not dissimilar, because although the actual subject may have changed, the underlying interest at the bottom of it remains with that person. So quite often they do those things. So maybe we were involved with something at school. Maybe we were in school plays more than others, or creating something, or writing something, or doing something like that perhaps. And that's why we end up doing what we're doing now. Something like this. I don't know. Sometimes people come from completely different experiences. A mishap happens. You get people do shows like this who happen to be. Look at Harrison Ford, for example, the actor. Right? He wanted to be an actor. But he was a struggling actor, and he got a job as a carpenter on the film sets. Right, and there was a director one day. He said, "Yeah, we need this, and we're going to write a character who's going to be like this, and the guy's going to be sort of like, I don't know, sort of like who's that guy? Sort of like him. Who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm the carpenter." Yeah, it's like, maybe not for much longer, and that was it. That's how he got involved. He wanted to be. He put himself. He was a carpenter on the film sets, but he wanted to be in films. He was doing some acting roles, so he put himself in in the environment, in that same environment. So it's about doing that. So yeah, go do it. Failing forward, my father was a tradesperson, very, very eager. And when he was a young apprentice, he had to do a master apprenticeship for 5 years before he was allowed to be let loose on a client's property or something. It's very tough in those days, very, very tough. And but he looked at working with various metals, and with his own money, he brought some materials and was doing a thing like what you call shaping the metal, where you beat it with a hammer, and it spreads the metal and makes a shape. Very skilled thing to do. And he was interested. He'd watched the Grand Masters doing it, and he was trying to do it, and messed it up and made a hole in the metal. And his boss was saying, "Oh, you're not to do that." And his teacher said, "That's not the company's material. That's his own material. He brought that with his own money to try." And the boss, "You did that with your own money?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because I really want to learn this." He said, "Well done. Well done. You got it a little bit wrong, but we'll show you how to do that. Just try it again." And he became very good at it because he fouled forward. He knew he had to do things wrong. He had a great engineer in mind, my father. Yeah, terrible. Family always laugh. If you've got a father like that, you don't end up with a lot of new things because your father repairs everything. Everything lasted forever because he was so good at repair. He had such an interest. And if something had a sealed unit where it had to be thrown away, he would be so curious when it stopped working, he would break into it and look and just see, that's how it works. He was I don't have that interest, but he did. He was great at that. And he would try things and repair things and mess with it, because he was very willing to make mistakes, but to learn. And all of that, apart from his apprenticeship for his trade, everything else was self-taught. Everything else was self-taught, which was quite amazing, I think. And it was a certain curiosity in people's mind that they had to do it. And again, don't fall from a great height. Go climb a tree. And I was always falling out of trees as a kid. Always damaging my ankle because I love climbing and jumping out of trees. And occasionally you overcook it a little bit and sprain your ankle or something. But the trick is, don't go too high before you jump out. Jump out in stages. Have any of you guys ever learnt to swim? You swim? Oh, you got. Hang on. Amanda was a competition swimmer. What am I saying? Right? Yeah. So diving boards, right? Diving boards. I had a real struggle with diving boards. Had some fear of these things, right? And I could jump from the side of the pool. I could dive from the side of the pool. And then there was that first board, which was, I don't know, maybe 4 feet off the water, and I was like, and you see the most experienced people jumping up and down on the board and make it worse for you. And then you look, and eventually you jump off the first one. Okay, it wasn't too bad. did that half a dozen times. And how can I sort of dive? And then there was the middle board, which seemed insanely hot. And then there was the insane top board, which seemed like up in the sky somewhere. And I went for weeks, stood up there, holding onto the bars, getting near to the edge and going back. And I was so embarrassed. And I remember feeling bad for my father. On his day off work, he would take me there every week for about 6 weeks, and I couldn't do it. I really struggled with it. And I could see all the others doing it, and oh my God, surely it's going to go wrong for me if I do it. You know, all this stuff I was thinking. But of course, you built up to it. I got good at the first board, reasonable at the second board, and I thought, because you wasn't allowed to dive off the top board, right? Not that you wasn't allowed, you only had to jump. I remember that. And I just thought, well, let's do it. My father was, I'll be right here. I'll be right here. I'll stand at the bottom. If anything goes wrong, I'll jump straight. So eventually I jumped and put a lot of effort into getting to the top rather quickly. I made sure as soon as I was in the water, I'd be swimming to the top. And I did. And I thought, that weren't that bad. I think I'll go and do it again and again and again. And I thought, that's enough for today. That's enough. So I did it I broke it. I broke the back of it just by failing forward because it actually didn't go wrong. I practiced it in my mind and it went exactly as it should. And it never, ever did go wrong. It was not a big deal as I thought at all. And I've learned this all the time in life. You know, if you just put the required dedication into a situation, it doesn't go too far wrong. And if it does, it's recoverable. That's the thing. So that was my story of learning to dive, not swim, but learning to dive. And that was it. But that must have been easy for you, Amanda, right?
No, I'm afraid of the high diving boards too.
Really? Yeah.
I was never a dive instructor, just a swimming instructor. But it's one of those things where you have to like take the time to learn and be willing to persevere and willing to fail at some points and be willing to be vulnerable in those situations, even when it's something as simple as learning to swim. And I know people as adults who never learned to swim, I was always had so much I was like, wow, you guys are impressive when they would come in and try to learn how to swim as adults, because learning as a kid seems so much easier. We're not, our brains aren't afraid of as so many things, I think. And so when we learn as kids, it's like it sometimes feels as an adult like it's just natural, right? And then when we learn as an adult, it seems not as natural sometimes. And so I really think I'm always inspired by people who are willing to learn new things as they get older. And we really should be able to learn new things. There used to be research or a thought process that people thought like once you get to a certain age, your brain like starts to die essentially, and you can't learn new things. But we've got research now that has actually proved the opposite of that, and that we can continue to learn and grow and build new neural pathways our entire lives. And so our ability, that quote of you can't teach an old dog new tricks, is actually not true at all. You can, because our neural pathways, as we continue to grow and build them, they get stronger, and we can do that throughout our entire lifetime. And so I think we need to think about that too when we think about failing forward. I was talking with a friend the other day who has his own business, and he's done very well in his business, and he was talking about how he's a little bit bored and now he wants to start another business, but he doesn't know what he wants to start. But he's like, I could make this and any new business that I start like successful within a year and like profitable, whereas before it took me like 5 or 7 years to like make this first business possible or profitable in a like really meaningful way, because he's taken all that knowledge that he learned building the first business, and he could now apply it to any other business in that industry and do really well very quickly. He just doesn't quite know which one he wants to start yet. And I was like, wow, if you never had the guts to like start the first business, like look at all of the things that you've learned, and then look at all of the like knowledge that you could like pass on to other people, and look at and just like there's when we're willing to take that leap into the unknown, right? Into the like, I want to try this and I believe that I can be successful in this. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to persevere. You have to be willing to like take that next step each and continue every single step of the way. And I think that's really something that if you were always afraid and you just stayed in your stable job no matter what, and you wouldn't get to experience the like success that you've
Yeah.
experienced because you've chosen to go out on your own and do this
And
amazing.
people must find that more fulfilling as well, right, Amanda?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that you built this like you built this on your own. That's amazing.
You know, you've raised a brilliant point there about, you know, how much quicker you can do it. And it's true. In the world of coaching, when I teach coaches, yeah, I can coach them so much quicker than I did it. Because we were the beta testers. We worked out the system. And when you people say we try that, like, yeah, good luck with that. We tried that one before. And we know how that one works out, but we can save a lot of time. I'm nuts about aviation, and I've watched so many documentaries, right? And the thing was, and you'll love this, Nobson, right? There was this one, this big cargo plane, and they had to work out how to go up the ramp with a Jeep and what angle to get the Jeep in. And there was a whole test team on it. And it took something like 14 hours on the first attempt before they got it right. Different drivers had to get in, 14 hours. Once they got it right, guess how long it took to do it the second time? About 3 minutes, 32 seconds.
Really?
Yeah. Because they worked out the code, if you will. They worked out how to do, it's this speed, that angle over there, this point here, put chalk on this point here, now turn, you know, do that sort of. And they was doing it all day long. They became professional loaders in the end of this thing because they knew exactly, and they had to do that with every product, right? How to load it quicker. But of course, they've got to be willing to screw it up first, right? You've got to be willing to screw it up first, and they did. A group of them being paid, you know, for 14 hours, a plane not being able to do its job for a while, and a Jeep, all that fuel, a team, 14 hours, analysts. And they got it right. And the second time, 3 minutes, 32 seconds. There you go. So, yeah, great example of failing forward, being willing to do it.
Yeah, you actually have to be willing to actually work on your confidence.
What's that nonsense?
Can you hear me?
No.
What's that then? Amanda, can you hear me?
Can now.
Can you lean forward and you're in your mic? Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you have to be willing to work on your confidence and be willing to take a risk, because if you want to succeed, sometimes you have to learn to take a risk. And you have to be willing to, when you fall, pick yourself up very quickly. Like Amanda's, this place where you say this woman, she was like, give herself 24 hours to cry. So yeah, just be willing to do that. I was doing something like praying the other day, and my mom wanted something, and I was like, I've got things to do. So I just thought about, okay, let me just do this for her because it's her birthday. She shares my birthday with me. And I was like, let me do this because I'm going through this journey where I'm learning to manifest, because some people, they say they are manifesting, but their manifested things come to pass. They have to buy things like buy a car in debt. So I was like, I'm manifesting, or even buy a house without a mortgage in it. So to me, I'm learning to do that because there's somebody pastor that is actually doing that. He said he done it. So I'm like doing that. So I was like, I did something. And that money that I gave it away. And then the other day I go on my phone, it's like somebody is, I had got that money twice. And I was like, is this how it works? This manifesting business. So I was like, I'm loving this. So I'm just learning. I might be Ngozi Talk Show might change one day completely. The coaching, honestly, grand. I was like, this is so amazing. So I was like, so this is what it means when you manifest properly. It means you manifest. And you have to, when you go and buy a car, you got to go and buy cash. And that's the true manifestation. Because I met this woman, she did what I'm doing, and she's like have like millions and millions of followers, and she's from tech, and she was like she dated this, and overnight she missed her life who she was, and then things changed. So
Yeah.
it's so amazing how, when you fall and you believe in yourself and keep going. And
Yeah.
I think we've experienced falling at Ngozi talk shows. Before Grant came, when Amanda we were Legacy Talk before at Ngozi talk shows. And these guys were at Ngozi, they were at Legacy Wealthy Talk. And then we wake up one day, my business partner says, "No, sir, I'm kicking you." No, he kicked what's his name? Grant, what's his name?
Who? What? Your business partner?
What in the group? What's his name?
The group?
Yeah,
Jason?
who is in the group with us? What's his name?
Jason?
Jason. She kicked Jason and one of the guys. And then it just be while I was talking to her, she was like trying to bring them back, and she was like, "I'm kicking you out too." I was like, "You can't kick me out. That's my idea." Because the Legacy World the Talk is my idea. She was like, "Yeah, I'm kicking you out, Numsa." Honestly, she kicked us out. And then I'm like, okay, these guys, all these Amanda didn't know. They thought the talk show is going. I'm like, it's 4 p.m. These guys in the morning, they 1 p.m. they expected the talk show. So I just like, Des, do you think you can brand the whole thing by tomorrow? And Des was like, yeah, sure. Tell me what you need. Give me the name of the talk show and give me everything. And that's how we remain. And then the following day, when this one turned up, the branding had changed, the naming had changed. So I had to explain a little bit that we've been kicked out. Legacy way of the talk. But it shows that sometimes when you fall, if you really, really want to do something, you can do something. But because I was defending these guys, I was like, but they didn't do anything. So why are you kicking them out? And she was like, just for the fact that you are defending them, you are going as well. So I was like, okay, is there gonna be a talk show? And she was like, no talk show, no more. And it's like, okay. So that's how I created Ngozi talk shows. I went on Facebook. I was like looking for names, and Facebook gave me my name, Ngozi. There's the domain name, and I went to GoDaddy. The domain name was available, and I was like, Des, let's do this. And he was like, that's why I don't like working with a coach that single coaches me, not managing my company. And I learned from that grant. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's lots of story where we are fallen. Amanda has to go. Amanda, do you want to speak to the audience where they can find you?
Sure. Just on my website, artmindfulnessandcreativity.com. And I know even if you're building a website, there's lots of opportunities to fail forward. And I really loved our talk today. So thank you.
And yeah, absolutely. If I can help you in any way at all, you want any tips on how to fail forward and do it with a smile on your face, let me know. You can get me Grant.Morrill at Instagram. Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. Who's that just popped in? I missed you, Ellie. Not seen you for a long time.
My daughter just got out of bed because it's so early.
Oh, you're so grown up now. I think the last time we saw her on our channel, it was like a few years ago. She has now. She used to pop in a lot. She's so looking like you, Amanda.
Oh, no.
Oh, bless. She's blonde. Amanda's dark. She's honey blonde like Hope, like my daughter.
So anyway, yeah, so if we can help you in any way, just reach out and we give you some tips of how you can fail forward while still having fun. And that's the idea. Keep the fun in the failing, because it makes
Keep the fun and the confidence. Work on your confidence. And Amanda said to give yourself 24 hours to scream and shout and feeling sorry for yourself. And then after that, pick yourself up. See you guys tomorrow. Live with grace and God bless. If you want to connect with Grant and Amanda, guys, please go to the website, sign up. And if you're looking for love, you can sign up at www.hseia.com for coaching. Please do sign up as well. And God bless and live with grace. See you tomorrow.